The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Shalom, shalom.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Come on in.
In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went.
Blessings. Happy Feast of Purim.
12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, the highest gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint to gather our wives and children, then sold us. Shalom, shalom.
In the belly of these great ships we traveled and fed. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. A high gatherers in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, a highest gathering Israel, the Negroes, Benjamin the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, a highest gathering Israel.
That's right, brothers and sisters. The Most High's gather in Israel. I'm Elder Ricashar of the Gathering of Christ Church, along here with Elder Lawyer for, that's right, our Wednesday weekly podcast here on YouTube, where we transition afterwards into our Blog Talk Radio. Okay? Shalom, blessed and happy Purim for all of our brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth, folks. And I'm going to tell you outright how the events that are going on in this country and throughout the world actually, transitions. I'm not transition, but it's uncoincidentally that these things are happening around the time of Purim. I don't believe there's any such thing as accidents. Do you? Well, why is it so, what the world would call coincidental, that a lot of events, cataclysmic, apocalyptic events, such as train wrecks, release of toxins on the population, and others, why is that more than a coincidence during the time of Purim? People talk about the Gia Mantra and how the elite do things on certain dates after certain events and all these others, and don't even realize what the real message is. They really don't realize it. They don't understand what's really going on. But that's why we're here. I couldn't pick a better time through the Spirit of the Most High to be before you with this particular broadcast. Disasters leading to displacements. Why? Because the social engineering we're seeing in the earth today is really the same events that led to our people losing power and the children of Israel going into captivity. Indirect social disasters gave the government full complicity to put armies in place and eventually come after us. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because it didn't just happen. It's just not happening during our current time. It happened when we were in Persia, the Persian captivity. It happened subsequent to that during the Roman captivity. And it so happens the governments were planning to not just disrupt our environment, but use political disasters or political or social ills as a pretext to indirectly attack us as the target. To attack our people as the target. And we're going to be talking about that tonight and others, bringing forth some news, okay, also on the derailment in Ohio and in Texas, yes. And also we have some good news for those who have a concern about the Passover this year in Cleveland. Of course, we were working around the clock once we heard the news, after realizing that these chemicals could affect the Passover next month. All right, that's why I'm here before you also. So I have a lot of news, a lot of prophetic information to bring forth today. And I hope you all can help us out. But you wouldn't believe how prophetic what's going on here today is until you hear this broadcast of what the government's planned against us, which led to the Memorial Day, the Hebrew Memorial Day, called Purim. A 2-day celebration given of gifts. These are the days we give our loved ones gifts, okay, for a specific purpose or reason, as a celebration for our God delivering us from our enemies during the time of the Persian captivity. Okay, so much I have to unpack. So I'm going to jump right in. But before I do, of course, I would need to make a few announcements. Okay, and then we're jumping right in. And then we're opening up the calls. And it so happens today, instead of me going into a monologue and things of that nature, you got the gist of the monologue. I'll have Elder Lawyer right beside me during this whole broadcast as we bring forth truth, as we unfold and reveal the evils that are really going on that's leading to what? Social engineering and displacements of whole communities. That's right. There's a new form of warfare. It's a new form of warfare going on. It's not an enemy combatant just coming in with arms and shutting off your utilities and shutting things down until they gain order, total cooperation, and afterward replace the government with the regime that would go along with the New World Order. Well, there's many levels of warfare, and I'm going to discuss some of those with you today, this evening. Come on in and help, and happy Purim to my brothers and sisters. And please, as you come in, please, as you file in, hit the like button. Okay? Let me get through these announcements so I can jump right in. Brothers and sisters, the next Hebrew and Bible Academy, hold up. Real quick. All right, I'm good. The next Hebrew and Bible Academy starts March 12th, 2023. You can enroll by going to historytimes.org I would like you to go there, enroll in this. It's very inexpensive, it's very cheap, but that will help us consolidate some type of resources to help, okay, at the end of all of what's going on. Go there and please try to get in before March 12th so that the administration isn't working around the clock at the last minute. Okay? All lessons in this upcoming academy will have an overall theme centered around spiritual warfare. Okay? Spiritual warfare and how to battle against dark forces. Every lesson will have this theme. I don't care what it is, from the creation of the universe all the way to the last lesson. The theme will be spiritual warfare. Example, the creation of the universe, the state of the world before the physical and spiritual corruption. What is the origin what is the origin of the dark forces we're fighting against, or who's behind the curtain fighting against us? Well, we have to show you how they came into being. We're going to do that the first week in the creation of the universe. Second, the promised seed, an updated lesson, highlighting the Messiah who was born of the promised seed to destroy the works of darkness, and how that Messiah has a chosen seed, and we so happen to be from the same stock of Israel as whom the world calls Jesus Christ. This is why we've always been persecuted and are under attack. We're going to be dealing with the dark forces, how they set up governments in an event to keep us in check. You don't want to miss that. The fall of Judah and Israel, the origin of Israel's kingship, Israel's fall to idolatry, witchcraft, and the works of darkness. Another lesson, updated. The battle against witches and warlocks, a brand new lesson never been taught in the academy. How ancient witchcraft have been modernized and used as a weapon in current times. Our people trust witches and warlocks. You don't know what a professional witch or warlock looks like. We're going to show you. It's going to shock you. They no longer wear pointy hats and fly on brooms. They've traded in the dark wardrobe, the dark robes, for white coats. Biblical principles on how to battle spiritually against spiritual wickedness in high places. And I can't wait for the round table part 2. Open discussion, men, women. We're going to have some college students in. The divide between man and woman, part 2, round table discussion. Okay. Discovering the various levels of social engineering and propaganda that has been used to separate and destroy the oldest institution established by God, which is family, as well as other great lessons. So please go to historytimes.org, be a part of this. None of this is possible without your cooperation and your help. And we put a lot of research into these particular lessons so that you can have understanding and fuel, insight to fight what has been fighting against us since birth, the dark forces. 12 weeks, I would like to see you in. Go to historytimes.org. I have more announcements, but let me just make this last announcement, and then we're going into the broadcast this evening. The Gathering of Christ Church new social media platforms. We are pleased. We are pleased to announce the launch of our brand new social media platforms on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, along with our new integrated platforms that links everything of the Gathering of Christ Church into one location. Okay? Our goal is to extend our reach all over the world through social media outlets, which in return will help grow our church community and have the world become aware of what's going on, Israelites as well as Gentiles, and spread this truth further before they begin to censor and shut everything down permanently. It's coming. These platforms will need to release exclusive, we'll release exclusive content by myself, updates and all of that in case of emergencies. It'll be the Truth APB. all points bulletin in case something happens in the earth and you need direction and understanding according to the insight you've been receiving. That's right. We'll be able to pull up all these at once and transmit that signal. Please support us by subscribing and follow and share with all of your family and friends, those who think to be interested in understanding what's going on. Okay? Even if they don't believe the Bible, still suggest, share, send it to them, because I'm sure there's some information that will help them. And eventually, if it be the Most High's will, it'll open up our family's eyes to see the truth as we see it. All right? So when you go to gatheringofchrist.org, you'll see all of the links, right? We have a place where you can do one link, boom, go there, and all of the places where you can find us is right there. One-stop shop, Gathering of Christ Church, all around the internet right there, okay? Now, I'm going to put this link in the chat right now. Let me put the link in the chat so you'll have it. That's the link in the chat right there, okay? That is the link. So you go there, everything you need to connect with the Gathering of Christ Church, right there, okay? We're going to try to make it as easy as possible for you to find us every place. Last but not least, the GOCC 2023 Hebrew calendars, are now in boxes ready to ship right here. We have them with us. You can order the calendars. We'll get them there to you expeditiously. We are pleased to announce that all of the 2023 Hebrew and Bible calendar pre-orders have been shipped, and your calendar should arrive any day now. Okay? So visit gatheringofchrist.org under Hebrew calendar to get your calendar and get a few for your family. Not just one, but get many. Look at that. Passover. Inspirational messages for each month. The Lion of Judah. and this is a dedication to our brother, Dwayne, Bishop Dwayne in the UK. Okay? Some of the proceeds will go towards helping his family. So please go to gatheringofchrist.org. Get not just one calendar, but a lot, and give them to others. Because guess what? The year doesn't start until what? Next month anyway. Okay? Give them a calendar. These calendars are good from March to next March. All right? That concludes our announcements. All right? Let me now bring in Elder Lawyer. Shalom, Elder Lawyer.
Shalom, sir. How you doing?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia. Yes, yes, yes. And happy Purim. Happy Purim, Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Happy Purim.
All right, happy Purim. There's so much I want to talk about, especially in lieu of what's going on, Elder Lawyer, with the spill today. And this is why I titled this particular broadcast, Disasters Leading to Displacements. Now, and because it's no coincidence that a lot of what's happening is directly affecting the people in those areas. And could it be coincidence or more than just a coincidence is the question today. And if it's not more than a coincidence, what should we do? All right. What should the people do? I'm going to talk about that tonight and open up the broadcast. I'm going to go through the articles with you since you're here. We're just going to do it all together. But I came up with another segment, Elder Lawyer. I came up with another segment. I didn't tell you yet, so I thought I would announce it while you were on here beside me here.
Okay.
I came up with a new segment. Not a new segment for the Academy. I will use some of it for the Academy, but it's also for the new social media clips and all that, where there's going to be a segment, probably about 3 minutes, where And I'm gonna give brothers and sisters an insight of what this is before I open up the phone calls this evening. A little treat. Watching the enemy watch us. Watching the enemy watch us. And it's gonna be 3 minutes or 5 minutes of us showing others explanation of what we are and what this ministry is. Right? Because
Absolutely.
To me, it's not disheartening. It's surreal. It's weird to hear how others on the outside view what this work is without being a part of it. It's interesting to hear their take and their perspective of what this is. And I'm talking about not those who are just inquisitive. Everyone have the right to be inquisitive, even skeptical. That's fine. There's so many scams and all these things out there that, I don't blame the people from being skeptical and not trusting after being burned in our satanic society over and over again by so-called trusted organizations.
Right.
But we're going to focus on watching the enemies, people who are sworn enemies of what we do, and have clips of watching the enemy watching us. There's going to be a clip, and we're going to say, listen, this is what they say. Right? And just put it out there. And I have an example of watching the enemy watching us tonight before I open up the calls. All right?
Yes, sir, no doubt.
We're going to have a little fun with it. We can't stop the haters, so we can't stop what they do, so we might as well, include it and show people what's out there. Who cares, right? But I think that, I think it'll be an interesting concept that brothers and sisters can actually lean into and understand that we're living in a time that's no different. Well, the circumstances are no different than when the prophets and teachers and Christ was on the scene, right? I mean, really think about it. Who really wholesale as a government or as a community? How many people out there really accepted the prophets, teachers, and Christ while they were on the earth without demonizing or viewing them negatively? All right.
Right.
So, but I digress. Here we go. And at the end, we're going to do a segment called Watching the Enemy Watch Us. Right? Now, before we go in, Elder Lawyer, our topic of discussion today is disasters leading to displacements. Right? So what I would like to do, matter of fact, let's do this for the sake of the optics. Just for the sake of the optics today, because I'm looking this way. I'm going to put you on this side. Do a little maneuver in here. And I'm going to put me, I'm going to stay on this side since I have to look this way. My computer is this way, so I have to look that way. So it appears that I'm looking at you. Right? This is better. So, Elder Lawyer, when it comes to disasters leading to displacements, it seemed as if the derailments and things that are going on in the world today are deemed or are viewed as accidents, right?
Right.
But something else might be going on. And I think because the majority of this world are to some degree ignorant to history, they don't realize when governments can use things to socially engineer or displace people in locations they would like. And what I wanted to do is to go into the Purim story as well as the Roman story of Nero to give an example. We're celebrating Purim for the last 2 days as a memorial. Why? Because the government of Purim, Elder Lawyer, had Haman the Agagite amongst the king's administration of Persia. And through this, Elder Lawyer, he began to concoct plans that would get rid of our people who at that time lived in provinces of Iran. A lot of people don't understand that was a government plan to not only census and count our people under a census, but after accumulating the number, they would use finances and pay mercenaries to get rid of us. A government plan, right? So let's read that since we're in the second day of Purim, at the end of Purim. Let's go to the book of Esther real quick and give brothers and sisters an insight to this particular memorial. Okay, there's a difference between a high holy day and an memorial. Okay, we treat it as a feast. We get together, we feast, we eat, give gifts, right, for those we care about. But a lot of people don't understand the significance of this particular high holy day for our people. A real reason for the season, a true reason to celebrate, remembering when our God, the God of Israel, used a sister to help save our people in Iran. An Edomite, an evildoer, if Haman the Agagite was living today, he would be called a so-called European. He was from the seed of the Amalekites, an Edomite. Okay, so let's go to the scripture, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to read this so I can give brothers and sisters who are fairly new some insight to why our high holy days are important, or our memorial or feast days are important, including Purim. This is the time to give gifts, not Christmas. Christmas is not the time to give gifts. Purim is the gifts. If the gifts, it is the gift given time for Hebrews or those who believe in God, who are called to God's law. Gentiles can also follow this holy day. Let's go to the book of Esther, Elder Lawyer, if you may.
Sir.
And let's jump right to it. Right? You said jump to the 8th verse?
Yes, sir. I'll just start up one verse in verse number 7.
Yes.
All right. The book of Esther, chapter 3, verse number 7, where it says, in the first month, that is in Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Pur, that is the lot. And if I can mention real quick, that's where we get the actual name Purim from. Purim is the plural form of Pur, which means lot. By lot meaning the casting of lots. Okay? You can read that all throughout the scriptures. Finishing up in verse 7, it says, before Haman, from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month.
So let me go here. It says from day to day and from the 12th month, that is the month Adar, the real 12th month. We're in the 12th month. We're in the 12th month now, folks. The 12th month isn't in December. For those who don't know, sundown last night began the first night of Purim, which is a 2-day celebration giving gifts to loved ones. Okay. They've replaced these 2 days with what? Christmas Eve, where they have Christmas Eve parties and Christmas. So the pagans hijacked the 12th month with their Saturnalia with Christmas Eve and Christmas, which have nothing to do with why we give gifts. They switched their new year to January so that their 12th month can be in the dead of winter. Okay? We're in the 12th month now, according to the heavenly calendar, according to the correct time. There's nothing new from December to January. Okay, there's something new from February to March, where as you get closer to the new year, what happens? You have more sun and the earth warms, leading to springtime. Happy New Year. Okay? Go ahead, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
Now listen to what.
Neither.
Now listen to the reason. Listen to the reason the government has planned to come against us. Haman, an Edomite, a pagan, is upset that what? He's upset.
There's a
certain people. Go ahead, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. There's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
Come on.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
Their laws are different than our laws. Okay, they're insulting your kingdom. You're dealing with these holidays and those holidays and eat this food and do this food. And now they are insulting us by saying what? Your holy days aren't good enough for them. Your cuisines and your dietary laws and the nature of your civilization is below them. Sounds familiar? So this is the reason they're coming against us, because we seek to serve our God and not operate as heathen. Read.
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
It's not for the king's profit to suffer them. If they don't want to get down with the government, we should do something about them before they before they become a high influence on our citizens. And you will lose what? The influence over your empire, over your country. So they seen us as a threat based on what? Our righteous worships towards our God, amongst our people. We weren't bothering no one. And this evildoer is looking at our culture, our righteousness, as a threat to society. Read on.
Yes, sir. Verse number 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hand of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries.
Look at that. Look at that. Read on. So now what he's saying. Let's collect money, pay the mercenaries, and count the children of Israel so that we can wage war against them. Now, of course, in order to wage war, folks, they must come up with a political reason to do so. See? This is how they do it. But the plan was already in place. But what disaster or what plan they would actually work out that would have the government be justified before the eyes of their citizens for killing and destroying us. See, that's how they do it. They come up with the plan first. Here it is. We aren't bothering anybody. They come up with a plan first, and then they come up with a reason to assail or to fall on our people politically. Read on.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The Jews' enemy. Read.
Yes, sir. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
Period.
Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's rings.
And what did it say? Read.
Yes, sir. Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
See, and as you can see, and it says, and to cause to perish. So you must have political political cause to come against these people, folks. And one way of coming against people without them understanding that it's an indirect attack is to make what the people do naturally illegal. To demonize you just for existing. Don't forget, folks, they're coming up against us because we have separate laws and practices religiously, as they would deem, from these other empires. So automatically, they're demonizing us for just existing. This is the same thing they do in our communities, folks. They look at what we do naturally and find a way to tax it or demonize or criminalize it. And their people can do the same thing and pay no crime for it. So this one, when it says a cause to do so, they had to create a political cause that would justify the end of them coming against us. Like the war on drugs and the other things they've put in our communities. And we thought, man, war on drugs, that's a good thing. Drugs are bad. Not realizing that it was a war on our community. It was a war on us. We were just doing, not that it was right, but we were just doing what the Italians were doing, what the other nations were doing to get out of the rut. I mean, they weren't going to give us any finances after building the country. So we started doing what they were allowing the other people to do. Okay? Not that it was right, but the Italians were able to go into business so they can clean their money and live upstanding as politicians and buy property and all that, as if all of their businesses didn't start with dirt money, blood money. Same thing. But when it came to us, oh no, war was time to destroy these people. See? So they will come up with a political cause, but really, the target is to get rid of us altogether. I'm going to show you how politics work. I'm going to show you how it works. So now, this guy has a full treasury backed by the government of Iran to come against our people there. But the Most High sent in a sister by the name of Esther, who married the king. And eventually what happened? What happened, folks? I'll tell you what happened. The king loved Esther so much, he said, listen, I will grant any wish you would like, my dear. And you know Esther was the finest, most beautiful woman that Iran have ever seen. An Israelite woman. And there may be many beautiful women in Iran. This sister destroys them all in beauty and knowledge. And the Most High had her born in that time for that specific moment. What can I do for you, my wife? She looked right at that Edomite over there and said, you know what? We need to get rid of him and his sons who have been plotting against our people. And this is why the celebration of Purim became a memorial. It was at a time where the Most High saved us from our enemies, who was doing what? Governmental conspiracies targeted at eradicating our people in any particular area. This is how they work, folk. They get into politics, and then they aim their politics towards destroying us. Let's go to the story of when this evil Edomite was dealt with. And he was an Edomite, okay? I can prove it. Let's go straight to it, Elder Lawyer. The 9th chapter, right? Do me a favor, turn on your mic, Lawyer.
Yes, sir, Salakia. The book of Esther 9 and 12.
Yep.
And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition? And what shall be granted thee? Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow according to
what verse? Give me a verse.
13.
Let's go to 13.
Yes, sir.
Then
said Esther.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted unto the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows.
And let Haman's 10 sons, Edomites, be hanged upon the gallows. Now we know they're Edomites because it tell you that he was a stranger of Persia. He was an Amalekite from the escaped sons of King Agag of the Amalekites, whom Saul was supposed to destroy. Read on.
Yes, sir. Verse number 15. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hands. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000, but they lay not their hands on the prey.
Come on.
On the 13th, yes, sir, verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Made it a day of feasting and gladness. Read.
But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day thereof, the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Feasting and gladness.
Go on.
Yes, sir. Verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
And of sending portions one to another, giving gifts in the true 12th month for a reason. And when we give the gifts to our children, they ask, Mommy, Daddy, why are the gifts? Not about no fat Satan clause, not giving that demon credit. We're saying, well, no. This was the day that the God of Israel saved our people from the Edomites who were in the Iranian government planning to kill our people there. The Most High gave us favor by sending in a sister who married the king, and that king made a decree to save us on this day. And the Most High said, let's make this a memorial. Never forget this. Mordecai. This was Mordecai's niece. The prophet Mordecai. Niece. Okay? So not only were they good men, and there are good men of Israel, there were good women. Until this day, there's good women of Israel. The Most High have allowed these women who were born at that time to save our people. Now, she wasn't a prophetess. And I got to highlight this because some of our people lose their minds and look to the Bible and say, what about Esther? Esther wasn't a prophetess. That wasn't going to give her a position of authority over men or give her a priestly position to teach Torah. So, but in her femininity, it put her in position. It put her in position to do what? To help our people. Her uncle, Mordecai the prophet. Mordecai was a respected teacher at that time. So women cannot use that and say, well, Esther in the Bible. She wasn't a prophetess. She was in order with the men over Israel. And the Most High put her in position to help Israel sustain during that particular time. All right. So we have to straighten that out too, because some women be trying to use the Bible to be out of order. Okay, let me put that. Because what about Esther? Esther wasn't a teacher of the Torah. She wasn't over the congregation and all that. Mordecai was. Okay. So let me straighten that out. So this is why we have our day of memorial, which is the day that we should be celebrating, not Christmas. When you go get the calendar, When you purchase the calendar, you'll have all those days in there. Even next Purim, you'll know exactly when it starts. Or you can go to gatheringofchrist.org and look at the dates to know when our holy days fall. Okay? So that next year, this time, you can use these 2 days as your so-called Christmas instead of Christmas. You have a real reason now to give your children's gift, and you can explain the value of what? Respecting a God who would save us from government conspiracies to destroy us. Which leads us, Elder Lawyer, to the Roman Empire. Because the Edomites weren't going to stop there, right? The Edomites weren't going to stop there. No, no, no. They weren't going to stop there. Let me pull you up here, Elder Lawyer. As you can see on the screen here, we have what? We have Nero. Nero. Now, this happened around what? 70. It was around 64 or 63 BC, 63 AD. Where you had a guy by the name of Nero, Elder Lawyer, who fiddled while Rome burnt. Right? Now, I have a picture of Nero. You can't see it. But what Nero did was he felt the threat of the Christians, and that was us at that time. The Christians were originally all black before the Roman and Gentile conversion. He seen this as a threat to his empire, and he attempted to do what his forefathers, like the Agagites, like Haman, could not accomplish. He lied and claimed that the black Christians in Jerusalem came into Rome to burn the markets, and that we were a threat to the Roman citizens. And now the Roman citizens are asking the government to shape legislation that would protect them from our people. Now, when you go into the annals of Rome, it wasn't the Jews, it wasn't our people who burnt those markets at all. It was mercenaries whom Nero paid to put on Israelite garments, cover their faces with Israelite garments, and to actually bomb strategic places to be blamed on our people. See? To provoke the citizens to come against us. To demonize our people who did nothing to the Roman citizens. Now the Roman citizens are looking at these Christians who believe in Christ, these black people in Jerusalem, as an existential threat. And now they shape in legislation what happens then. Years later, Vespasian and Titus, two Roman emperor and a Roman general, decreed military to begin to occupy Palestine and Jerusalem. They began to occupy Palestine and Jerusalem. When I say occupy, they didn't come in originally as combatants or enemies. They came in as the military helping along our society, side by side politically. But guess what? Eventually, a decree was made for them to come against us. We began to battle back politically. The Roman Empire moved their armies and put a trench and began to destroy and kill us all the way up into Masada. And guess what? It all started with, no one remembered why all of this started. They only remembered that these Jews or Israelites in Jerusalem must be destroyed. No one remembered that the whole thing began with a bold-faced lie. A provocateur event that would lead to what? A solution to target and destroy Jerusalem. This is what led to our displacement. This is how we lost Israel and forgot everything concerning our homeland. Right here. Elder Lawyer, let's read that scripture real quick if we may. I'm going to show you how this comes around full circle. Let's go, Elder Lawyer, to the book of Luke now, New Testament, where the Edomites are working again. Because Christ warned us that this would happen, that our Edomite brother would eventually accomplish his plan to destroy and to overtake Palestine or Jerusalem. Elder Lawyer, let's go to Luke 21 and 20.
Yes, sir. The book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse number 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Flee out of the city, flee to the mountains, come on.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Okay.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are fulfilled, which are written, may be fulfilled.
Hold up.
Hold
up. Because these are the things that must be fulfilled, that Israel must lose Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
But it started with a lie. And I think every Christian church need to teach this if they believe in Christ, because this is Christ's prophecies. And it's a Christ prophecy that relates directly to us. Read the 24th verse.
Yes, sir. 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations.
Stop there, Elder Lawyer. And they shall what?
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations.
They will become slaves in every nation. The world will have an opportunity to enslave Israel throughout the four corners of the earth. The other nations will gain power by using the life source of Israelites who lost Jerusalem. See? Sold to Mr. Weinstein here down in Pennsylvania. Sold to Mr. Rosenberg, who have the ports down in Virginia. Sold to Mr. Penn. Christ prophesied that after we lose Jerusalem, we would go into captivity. The only answer to how one group of people can be enslaved and demonized throughout all the earth with no help from any government by international body anywhere, because they're all in collusion together. They know who we are. And they want to talk about Christ, but Elder Lawyer, you very rarely hear Christians teach this prophecy of God's people losing Jerusalem and going into slavery. So sometimes we skate over this, but I wanted to marinate with this for a second, so that Christians can understand what's going on out there. That you cannot say that you believe in Christ and ignore this prophecy concerning his people. Read.
And they shall fall, this is verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So who would be in Israel after 70 AD? Not Israelites. Now Christ haven't returned yet. So we're still living in the time of the Gentiles. So who are the people who would be in that land after the fall of 70 AD? Gentiles. What is a Gentile? A non-Israelite. So now I'm going here to show you the disaster, Elder Lawyer, the bold-faced lie of Nero burning the market, turning the Roman citizens against our people who were Christians, Jews, Israelites, was a pretext that would lead to our losing Jerusalem and going into captivity. So it works. So the only thing they need to do is to have a literal smoke screen with a story behind it for a disaster that would lead to displacements. Which leads us to where we are today, Elder Lawyer. Where are we today? Well, Elder Lawyer, not too long ago, Elder Lawyer, not too long ago, a matter of fact, I can show you better than I can tell you. There's a production out there where a train would derail. Now listen to where this is, Elder Lawyer. In East Palestine, Ohio. 70 AD is when they came against us in Palestine, and it led to captivity. But guess what? It was a Netflix movie that came out that said that there was a derailment. A matter of fact, Elder Lawyer, check out the trailer.
Life is good, Jack. I hope it lasts forever.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
No! They're calling it the airborne toxic event.
We won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
Okay, what if it's dangerous?
Evacuate all places of residence.
What you just saw was a trailer.
Do it again.
Life is good, Jack. I hope it lasts forever.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
No! They're calling it the airborne toxic event.
We won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
Okay, what if it's dangerous?
Evacuate all places of residence.
Evacuate, Elder Lawyer. Evacuate, fair use. Evacuate all residents. The name, Elder Lawyer, of this series that came out last year, Elder Lawyer, is White Noise. White Noise is the name of that particular series. White Noise. Now, how was it that they could outright predict exactly what just happened a few days ago in a Netflix movie no, matter of fact, the White Noise came out in 2020. It was 2020 when White Noise came out. So how is it they can predict the same disaster we're dealing with right now? Now, guess what? It could be a coincidence. I don't know, allegedly. But could this be, who knows, disaster leading to displacements? Because if anything, folks, since 70 AD, our people are used to it. Our people are used to being persecuted in one city, fleeing into another. One disaster socially engineer us to another place where we just look to just survive and serve our God. Elder Lawyer, check this out. I have more. Ohio cleaning up toxic train derailment. This is Reuters News. Now, I have a lot that I'm going to talk about within the next couple of weeks with this, because I don't think this thing is going to just end. Ohio cleaning up toxic train derailment as pollution plume moves downstream February 14th. Cleanups is moving quickly after a train carrying a toxic materials derailed in Ohio 11 days ago. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said in Tuesday, while residents and observers questioned the health impacts of the pollution that spilled in the Ohio River. Now, let's go into some of the chemicals. That looks just like the production, right? Union warnings. Now this is Elder Lawyer. It's almost synonymous to with the cocktail of chemicals that spilled. It would be no different than if someone dropped the bomb.
Right.
We're going to go into those chemicals in a moment. But before I go into those chemicals, I want to show something. I already told you. Nero burned 7 cities and blamed it on an enemy. And eventually they would come against an enemy and displace an enemy. Right? CBS News. Texas officials investigate chemical leak that triggered shelter-in-place order. So, Elder Lawyer, it's not just Ohio. February 12th, it happened coincidentally in Texas also. Chemicals. Almost related to the same chemicals that went down in Ohio. Which outright led to a high evacuation. Right? Now, of course, I'm just using mainstream information right now, but you know I'm going to have to talk about this more in the coming weeks and on other platforms where I can actually speak about and give testimony of those on the ground, right? That isn't mainstream, right? So a lot of us didn't even know, Elder Lloyd, this happened in Texas too. Fair use. Let me break it down one piece at a time. Times now. A horrific environmental disaster is happening in the U.S. Now notice we're at a time where Purim is where they was planning to get rid of our people, right? And then it's at a time right after the Super Bowl that would keep most people distracted. A train carrying vinyl chloride derailed in Ohio. Now, folks, this is deep. Vinyl chloride. Now, let's talk about what happens when vinyl chloride is burned. So instead of letting the chemicals spill and clean up in the respective areas, that's right. There was a government decree to burn the chemicals, and therefore it would go into the environment, right? They thought that it would be more cost effective to burn the chemicals before things get worse. But what happens when you burn vinyl chloride? I'm going to get him later. When you burn the chloride, Elder Lawyer, vinyl chloride, it turns into hydrochloric acid. 1 second. It turns into hydrochloric acid. Now, this is not a coincidence, folks. That's not a coincidence. That's science. So it so happened out of all the chemicals this train could have been carrying, it carries, it's coincidentally, accidentally, right? Because I'm gonna go with the storyline they're putting out there. They accidentally crashed with some vinyl chloride, which coincidentally turns into hydrochloric acid. Now, if this gets into the environment and rain on plants and get into soil, what happens to our food? Now let's go into hydrochloric acid real quick. Hydrochloric acid in contact with skin or other tissue can cause chemical burns that can be severe. Hydrochloric acid in the eyes can cause blindness. Right? Look at it here. Now, right now they're doing an environmental cleanup. But also with this, side effects are hard to breathe, trouble breathing, all of this. All of this. So coincidentally, the train was carrying vinyl chloride that if it comes combustible, if it's burned, it turns into, get him out of here, because I'm going to bring him in later, hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid, elder lawyer. Let's go. Then it says another, it's a coincidence, y'all. Another train carrying hazardous materials derails in Texas. All of the chemicals together is almost as if a foreign enemy dropped a bomb strategically where a water supply would affect that particular community. So it's coincidentally that it's happening, but hey, the fallout and long-term effects are deadly nonetheless. So now, another lawyer, we have another hazmat situation where the authorities have to come in and have hazmat under a disaster.
Right.
I'm just going to pause there real quick. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Hit that like button now, because y'all know we going in today. 5,000 people evacuated. The toxic gas can cause vomiting and breathing trouble. I wonder where we've heard breathing trouble before. I don't know. I don't know what the results will come up if they're tested for something. Who knows? A cataclysmic situation triggers safety questions. Toxic chemical spills. 5 million people at risk in Ohio. Now, again, folks, I already showed this. Right? Hold on, other lawyer. I've already shown that. But I think I need to show this once more. 1 second. I think I need to show this once more. One second, folks. Stay with me. I need to show this once more. A matter of fact, let's do it like this, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to go to YouTube. Trailer white noise. Trailer white noise, fair use. Fair use. For educational purposes only.
Jack, wake up, we have to leave. 5 more minutes. No more minutes.
Okay, roll film.
Would you like that, a protein?
That stuff causes cancer in laboratory animals, in case you didn't know.
Either I chew gum or I smoke.
Well, these
Or something.
Forever.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
They're calling it the
In the same place, folks. East Palestine. East Palestine. East Palestine, Ohio. Look at that. I need y'all to look at this. 5 million people at risk.
Something that could actually.
And now, we have millions of people living in the United States under a environmental disaster of biblical proportions. Now, the fallout for fish, animals, the ecosystem, the food. Now they're saying that this hydrochloric acid, which that's what this stuff will turn into, will drift from the Ohio River into the Mississippi, and when this stuff attaches to water, it becomes even more toxic. The water that'll be used, that should be used to plant future crops, not just in the near the Mississippi area, but it runs into the Mississippi that waters the farms in the South. Now, of course, they said that the water supply was cut off from the Ohio River and it's connected to another water supply temporarily. That's what they're saying. 1 second here. Let me put this back. That's what they're saying. 1 moment. But nonetheless, this is what we're dealing with here. 1 second. Let me tape this up here. One moment. Let me tape this up. I didn't do a good job putting it up there. There it is. So that's what they're saying. Right? Now, I have good news, Elder Lawyer. Through all of this, there is some good news because we've been working around the clock. We've been working around the clock for the Cleveland, Ohio Passover this year. and wanted to know how would this affect what we're doing. No, there's no way we would bring the saints, the Most High's people, into a toxic environment. So we got in front of it no sooner as the news came out, what was out there, right?
Right.
Thank the Most High that we spoke to the convention center and we let them know, listen, we're going to need independent tests. We have to know exactly what's going on there from a governmental standpoint before saints converge on your particular city next month. We're not going to bring our people in anything toxic. So they did not just an independent report, but they gave us a governmental report and say that, well, really, Cleveland doesn't have to worry about it because their water supply doesn't come from the Ohio River. It comes from Lake Erie. So because we own Lake Erie, the water's fine. And we're still doing independent testing with our own people there to make sure. But we got the reports we needed. So the good thing is that we don't have to shut down Cleveland and go into another state, at the last minute. So I thank the Most High for that. But still, it's more so the people who are within a 200-mile radius after the burn who could have been affected by any rain that would come through that stuff in the air, or have breathing issues once they burned the vinyl chloride. That was the greatest issue with those within a 200-mile radius, is the fallout that would come from the smoke and the toxic fumes that were moving in the wind. All right. So I thank the Most High. We were on it, folks. I'll tell you this right now, and I thank the Most High that we got the paperwork who came back to make sure that this will not affect our Passover and those who are coming to the Passover this year. We don't mess around. All right. So, and I said we need this in a timely fashion too. They got back with us in 2 days. So I've been working around the clock with this, with the church, and I thank the Most High for that. But all in all, the water that goes into the Ohio River leading into the Mississippi, who knows what the overall effects will be. I'm not a chemist, and I'm not going to say anything, but there's a prophecy in the book of Revelation that's called wormwood, where through a lot of these so-called events, they're going to make it where water is going to become as toxic as gasoline eventually. And so that leads us to deal with alternative resources, knowing what's coming down the pipeline. The Bible says the water shall be turned into wormwood, but the Bible didn't give us the political events of how eventually the water supply of the earth would be totally contaminated to a degree that the only waters that would be really safe would be the waters left within the Great Sea or the Mediterranean area. Those pockets over there is going to be the only be the only safe water left. And some of the water under Lebanon near Israel, that water is going to be safe too. But I digress. So Elder Lawyer, what a coincidence, but I wanted to put it out there how I can tie it all in, especially with our High Holy Purim, Elder Lawyer, because it's always an event that would lead to the people getting displaced, like our people were displaced. But now it's not just us. They're doing it to all the citizens of the earth. And who knows? Is it some type of social engineering to move people out of their homes into alternative homes and all that? Who knows? Is this part of the 2030 agenda? Well, that conversation and more will be discussed as all of this unfolds. Because eventually, Elder Lawyer, can you imagine the property value in those areas now?
Right.
The property value. So here we go. One more story here, Elder Lawyer. They go to suits again. They got suits for everything. Every event, there's some suits. What toxic chemicals was aboard the derailed train in Ohio? Vinyl chloride. There it is. 5 of the cars that derailed was transporting vinyl chloride, a colorless gas with what toxicologists describe as a mild, sweet odor. Lord, how the devil does it. Ethylene glycol monobutyl ether. Look at this. You put this together and it's damn near a bomb. Butyl acrylate, ethoxyl acrylate, isobutylene. Man, you put these things together, it look like that. See, you put these ingredients together in one thing. That's a bomb. It looks like, but who knows? It could be. Who knows? Allegedly, but somebody put that stuff together. If an enemy came and dropped something like that on the country, then America would declare war, right? If this was Al-Qaeda dropping something in America like this, I mean, with Elder Lawyer, with accidents like this, who needs a nuclear fallout?
Right.
Everyone is looking for a nuclear fallout. If things can be accomplished like this, this is damn near a small Chernobyl. But I digress. And it leads to displacements. People are forced to go into other areas. And folks, these areas were places where predominantly, hard-working, middle-class people, farmers. Not only will this affect that land for the foreseeable future, it's also going to contaminate the well water in the area. For those who thought they would, go into this particular area, worst case scenario, they're in the sticks, their own well water. That's why Christ says, when you're persecuted in one city, flee into the next. Okay, at 7:57, we're going to open up the calls for a second, Elder Lawyer. But if there's anything you want to say before we go to the next segment here.
Yes, sir. I just want to quickly read a scripture in relation to some of the things we're seeing unfolding in this time.
Okay.
For a long time, and I think even up until this current week, it seems like almost every week we're going into Matthew 24. And we're just so happen to be in the time in which we're seeing Matthew 24 unfold. At the same time that disasters are happening in the sea, which will devastate and affect life within the sea. We're seeing also things taking place on land that's also having a devastating effect on the land. And to be more specific, speaking about the food supply and how the food supply is greatly being affected. How the air quality is being greatly affected. And it's like these things are happening in strategic places at strategic times to cause a strategic result, a strategic end game. And I'm pretty sure you all who have been following for some time, you all know that eventually this is culminating to an ultimate end, which we have been discussing up until this point. But I want to quantify it with Christ in the book of Matthew 24, verse number 8. In fact, I'll start at verse number 6, where it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines." The question is, how are these famines going to take place? You're going to see natural disasters taking place that are out of the control of the hands of mankind. But you're also going to see things that take place that are manufactured, things that are being done that will, the ultimate result or the purpose of this thing being done was to cause famine. So we're seeing a little bit of all of that taking place in this time. It says, "And pestilences, diseases, sickness, plagues, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows." So this is what we're witnessing. And this is the reason why we need to be linked in. We need to stay in consistent prayer and seeking the Most High. As the scripture says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. And just ultimately understanding that the way they're doing things, it's making it to the point where it's pushing people into a corner to where, irregardless of any provisions that they've made, it's going to come a point in where we totally have to depend on the Most High for, as the scriptures say, our daily bread, our provisions, and our guidance. So we prepare and we make provisions as much as possible to prepare for all outcomes. But this is moving to the point where the Most High will have to be our buckler and our shield from day to day. So with that, I yield.
And people are asking, well, what shall we do? The Bible says, like I said last Sunday, Elder Lawyer, like I said, Sabbath and Sunday, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. And this is why last week, everyone, I believe, need to go back to that lesson I did last Sabbath, that we did last Sabbath, Elder Lawyer, and listen to that again. Because the Most High says, don't let our sins weigh us down.
Right.
There's enough issues. When it says wars and rumors of wars, our people, the people of this earth, don't understand, according to God, what war looks like. Does this look like a war zone or what? There's nothing to have the same ingredients for a bomb transported another way. There's nothing for them to do that. If someone is at war with an enemy, then a country will drop a bomb on another country to let the country know that they are at war with them. But if you don't want to know your enemy, you can still make the same outcome if you don't want them to know that they're at war with you. Does this look like a war or what? So when Christ say wars and rumors of wars, you have to realize, folks, there's many levels of war.
Right.
The political outcome is to move the people and have the moral high ground to come against a targeted enemy, like the Roman Empire. See? So how do we do this? We have to provoke a scenario through an event. Now, you would rather your enemy come against you or give you cause where you don't have to create events. But when an agenda isn't moving quick enough, events pushes it. Events speeds up the process for them to get to their targeted agenda. Nero set back while 7 areas of Rome burned and fiddled. Because why? The people were screaming, oh my God, what's going on? And he's like, well, don't worry about it. The Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, citizens, and we'll come with the solution. We'll send the army. We'll send the army. And Elder Lawyer, let's really look into this and keep our ear to the ground to hear whether or not Biden or the governors come out and say they need help and assistance to clean up this area from the National Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Or
right.
Maybe the UN peacekeepers have to come in and help with the environmental cleanup. Keep your ear to the ground as prophecy unfolds. Okay? Last but not least, Elder Lawyer, and I'm going to open this up. We must what? First and foremost, I told people for years, make sure you have food. Make sure you have water, clean water. I have 2 big tanks filled with water. Big tanks. If you have the option, make sure you're living in a place that have well water. Okay? The Bible says be like pilgrims in those days. We have to look at how much we're paying for rent. If we're paying $2,000 a month for rent, going to nowhere but landlords, right? 2,000 times 12, that's $24,000. That's rent that's going into a hole. when someone can find 1 acre somewhere that's on a well, or where you can drill in and have your own water. 1 acre or 2 acres in some rural area somewhere cheaply. Buy yourself, if you need be, to stack money, an RV or something that's transportable with a truck so that you can live in case of an emergency. Or you can live in it while you stack your money. That's right. You'll still have internet. You'll still have water, bathroom. And some of these RVs looks almost like a home. We'll pay a monthly payment on a car that goes nowhere. But you get a trailer, something like that, on 1 acre of property with your food and all that. You're stacking money and all that. You could pay cash for it. Some of these things used are $15,000, $10,000. Clean that thing up. Get a construction worker in there to put nice beds and all that, and start thinking about alternative living. Elder Lawyer, some people, they was talking about, at tabernacles and all that. Yeah, I seen Elder Lawyer, Elder Ricard, yeah, I seen RVs and things like that. I can understand one day, folks, we may have to live with what we have, and we may have to be able to move our homes in the midst of certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of people looking at it and saying, well, what's going on here, what's going on there, they should be checking it out and saying, you know what? I can have the place I'm at, but still have alternative living in case something like this happens. Something like that happens. Someone could have hooked their house to their car and went into a whole nother state somewhere until things subsided, until it was safe to go back. We have to start forward thinking. I'm going to start talking about some of these things, especially in the academy, because sometimes, don't forget, we're living in a time of plenteous before the time of famine comes. And based on what we're seeing, Elder Lawyer, the domino effect in all of this is that the fact that it's going to lead to less food, a contamination of the soil. So it's time for us to get it right. You can always utilize that. Some people want to take trips and all that and say, I like to take trips and all that, and can't afford all that. Hey, you get into your RV with your truck and you can go to any lake you want and have a good time. And your children wouldn't know that you didn't spend $10,000 or $5,000 to save to go to a vacation. If you can go to any lake you want, and you can go to Disney and be on a lake and all that, and you don't have to buy a room. You don't have to pay for a hotel. You can hook that thing up to any lot where there's electric and water, and now your house on wheels, you can enjoy any place you want, folks. I'm just putting that out there. And a lot of us, I love the fact that we have the tent in the wilderness and all these things and tabernacle, because the Most High is preparing us for what is going to be out there. Because at any time they can create a disaster where what? The government has to make an announcement to evacuate. So we have to get in front of this, folks. Christ said, Elder Lawyer, when you flee into one city, when you're persecuted in one city, because that look like a persecution to me. Right. When you're persecuted in one city, when it looks like a bomb was dropped in one city, flee into the next. Let's see the whole end of this, Elder Lawyer, before we segue. $25 million Americans live in an oil train blast zone. Look at that. Elder Lawyer, I didn't know that there was any such thing as oil train blast zones. So what they're telling you here, that there's a possibility that this can happen what? This can happen in these different zones within the country. What is an oil train blast zone? I didn't know that was a thing. Did you?
No, sir.
Places that you can expect trains to crash and blow up. Lord in the morning. U.S. officials lift evacuation order. Oh yeah, just go and chill, drink the water, everything is fine. Why U.S. is not addressing the biggest ecological disaster? And I'm going to leave it there. Elder Lawyer, I'm going to leave it there. Last but not least, Elder Lawyer, this will be a segment that we'll be doing for our social media uploads and lives and shorts. And Elder Lawyer, if you get something that you feel that's interesting that you would like to put up there, something that goes on, or a few words of encouragement, whatever. I have, thank you, Brother James, who's behind our social media video takes for our Instagram and Twitter and all these others. We're going to be having tweets, scheduled videos that goes up through Instagram and all these others. So if you have anything, make sure you put it up. But there's a segment that I'm going to be working on for the Academy and for 3-minute uploads, 3 to 5 minutes uploads on Instagram and others. One of the segments we're going to have, Elder Lawyer, rolling it right out, is watching the enemy watch us. Watching the enemy watching us will be a segment. And since that's a segment, watching the enemy watch us, fair use. Now, normally, Elder Lawyer, I try to stay away from stuff like this, but someone sent this to me. Why? Because this is a guy by the name of Gocc Malone who's with another guy, right? Misrepresenting our church. Now, he's not just talking about, now the guy is asking, he's asking what you would think inquisitive questions as if he's interested in understanding what Israelites about, as if he haven't drawn his own conclusion already. So he's, so it seems like this question is more for the viewers than it is Vocab answering the question. Here it is for the first time within the Gathering of Christ Church, a segment, watching the enemy watch us.
Is there a variety that's within there? Or is, like, if a white person came and said, I'd like to join the group, what does that look like?
All right. So
if a white person comes in and say they want to join the group, Elder Lawyer, what does that look like? Now, if he was really interested in getting this question answered, he would just go to any respective group who are Israelites or a regular church who know that we're Israelites and ask to join. But he's coming to this guy, Gocc Malone, as if Gocc Malone is an expert on what Israelites decide concerning white people. And mind you, folks, there's no Israelites anywhere who know this guy. He's never been a part internally of anything concerning Israelites. But this one guy, who apparently a white man, is curious to know, what does Israelites feel about white people joining them? Now, you would think that he would call me. I'll tell him. I would ask him, have you repented for your sins and is willing to be baptized in the name of Christ? Okay, I'm not here to see your white papers or your genealogy table for your forefathers. I'm a minister. But he gonna ask this guy who has no insight at all concerning Israelites. Listen to the question again. Watching the enemy watch us.
Is there a variety that's within there? Or is, like, if a white person came and said, I'd like to join the group, what does that look like?
All right. So let's say you're Mike Winger and you say, I'm Mike Winger. I'm of European descent, right?
Yeah.
You could
Irish.
go to you say you said that right. You could go to GOCC.
Right there, he say GOCC, Elder Lawyer. Now I'm going to show you how crafty he is. He's afraid to say the gathering of Christ Church, knowing that the majority of people would type in the gathering of Christ Church and understand that we are exactly opposite of how he represents us. So, folks, I'm going to tell you, these cats are crafty. So he says GOCC. This guy don't even know about anything. He's just interested in knowing what Israelites would accept white people. Why can't you say the gathering of Christ Church? Does he know the difference? Do this guy know who GOCC is? I think so. But check it out. They are very crafty. I would rather them, if they're going to represent us, use our whole name. And brother Vocab, if you're out there, next time don't abbreviate it. Don't use just, the letters. Say the gathering of Christ Church, man. All right? Watching the enemy watch us.
Is there a variety that's within there? Or is like if a white person came and said, I'd like to join the group, what does that look like?
All right. So let's say you're Mike Winger and you say, I'm Mike Winger. I'm of European descent, right?
Yeah.
You could
Irish.
go to, you say you said that, right? You could go to GOCC, Gathering of Christ Church.
Oh.
GOCC.
Okay, thank you. I stand corrected. Thank you, Vocab. The Gathering of Christ Church. Thank you for putting... I'm glad you're watching us. I'm glad you're watching us, sir. Somebody sent this to me, Elder Lawyer. So I didn't really know what was the content. But someone sent this to me and said, Elder Ricard Shaw, someone's speaking about you and Elder Lawyers in the church's work. I'm like, this guy again? So thank you. He mentioned the whole church. Thank you. I stand corrected there.
He teaches you are a Gentile. You're not an Israelite like us. But you can be grafted in. And a lot of the other groups.
Now, we never teach any place, Elder Lawyer. Have you ever heard us teach that Gentiles can be grafted in?
No.
He's misrepresenting. Gentiles can partake of what? They can partake of the body of Christ. And they become fellow brethren. It is no grafted in. Okay?
Groups criticize GOCC for allowing Gentiles at their Passover.
So, Elder Lawyer, we allow only Gentiles at the Passover.
And so that's one group, and they're even a One West group. Or you could go.
That's new to me.
Listen, this is some new stuff for me. And we are a One West group, okay? I have no idea what he's talking about. I have nothing to do with some One West. Now, if he's saying we were initially a part of the Israeli school of UPK, that was me as an individual. But he don't understand that there were decades between me in my early 20s as UPK and where we are as the Gathering of Christ Church now. That's like coming out during Paul's time, Elder Lawyer, and stating, well, yeah, Paul was originally a Pharisee. What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
I'm sure he was something else 20 years ago. So you see how they trying to tie everything into demonizing people, claiming that it had a hate origin and trying to tie us in with it? Watching the enemy watch us.
Go to Israel.
This is interesting looking at this, Elder Lawyer. Someone's outside perspective who have never been a part of it. This is quite interesting. to hear their perspective.
God that I mentioned earlier. You could go and they would say, okay, just let us teach you, brother. So one thing that's big with these groups, like Israel of God, for example, is they believe in something they kind of officially, almost with a capital P, call the protocol. And by that, they mean you can't.
Elder Lawyer, have you heard about the capital P with the protocol?
The capital P with a protocol. What? I'm a little bit behind, so I'm not catching exactly what he's saying. But what does that mean?
No, he's saying that, a matter of fact, let me put it up so you can hear it real time, and then I'll let them hear it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it that way, because this is quite interesting. All right, I'm going to do it that way. Let me know if you can hear this, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Is there a variety that's within there? Or is like if a white person came and said, I'd like to join the group, what does that look like?
All right, so let's say you're Mike Winger and you say, I'm Mike Winger, I'm of European descent, right?
You can hear it, Lawyer?
Yeah.
You could go
Yep,
to,
loud and clear.
you say you said that, right? You could go to GOCC, Gathering of Christ Church. GOCC teaches you are a Gentile. You're not an Israelite like us. But
Hold up. So the GOCC have a Gentile coming and says, hold up, brother. You're not an Israelite like us. But
you can be grafted in. And a lot of the other groups criticize GOCC for allowing Gentiles at their Passover. And so that's one group, and they're even a One West group. Or you could go to Israel of God that I mentioned earlier. You could go and they would say, okay, just let us teach you, brother. So one thing that's big with these groups, like Israel of God, for example, is they believe in something they kind of officially, almost with a capital P, call the protocol. And by that they mean you can't go out of order. Kind of like we would hold well, I don't know about you, but certain Christians hold a complementarianism. They think there's an established order of creation. GOCC, or especially IOG, that's Israel of God, is big on there's a protocol. There's an order in God's creation. So a Gentile, that's how they would see you, that's how they see me as well, can only teach other Gentiles, can have no teaching authority over someone who's deemed an Israelite. Doesn't matter the...
So you hear that, other lawyer?
Yes, sir.
That the GOCC say Gentiles can only teach Gentiles in the church. Where do they find this stuff? Where do they find this stuff? We have Josh from the UK, many people. We have Nate in the UK. These people are teaching. And they're teaching out with microphones, and they're teaching it's Israelites. We have Yahushua, Josh. He looks as white as one of these guys, if you want to say white people. We don't look at that. And he's teaching from the pulpit in Jamaica. On the streets. So this is why I wanted to show people the enemy. Watching the enemy watch us. We're going to do these segments when there's people misrepresenting. I don't mind them speaking about us. Okay. That means the work is effective. But at least be honest as a so-called Christian apologist and not purposely misrepresent and lie to people.
Tarianism. They think there's an established order of creation. GOCC, or especially IOG, that's Israel of God, is big on there's a protocol. There's an order in God's creation. So a Gentile, that's how they would see you, that's how they see me as well, can only teach other Gentiles, can have no teaching authority over someone who's deemed an Israelite. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the level of knowledge, anything like that. Now let's say you said, well, I still want to teach, man. Well, then you've got to go all the way out to Tennessee. And you can join up with Straightway Ministries, and you can Straightway Truth Ministries under Pastor Dow.
Now he don't know anything about Pastor Dow either. This guy never was amongst any of the Gathering of Christ Church or any other church to understand the inner workings of why people value our ministry. He's downplaying the help that people are getting from leaving these churches to be amongst something more wholesome and true. See, he's not asking the people, why are they there? As if these people don't have brains for themselves to understand what's right in the last days and who to cleave to or who to listen to or who to learn from. So he's not giving people any credit.
And he'll say, hey, you could join in and we'll even let you teach. And the wild thing about his group is they have a massive internet influence. And for whatever reason, I think it's because they promote sort of a hyper masculinity. Not that I'm against masculinity.
Well, that's enough of that, Elder Lawyer. That's our first segment of Watching the Enemy Watch Us. Now, of course, Elder Lawyer, he eventually goes into hold on. Let me set this up. Okay, you there, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So he eventually goes into the other people he's been examining from the outside. But he always have a negative view on the awakening. He you understand? But yet, he's trying to set himself up as the go-to expert on Israelites in America. So, I just wanted to put that out there, Watching the Enemy Watch Us, straight lying to people, because what? Indirectly, they know that some Gentiles may fall onto one of their fake video, some of what they're dealing with, and begin to form an, poison. So that's going to be one of many segments we're going to have, Watching the Enemy Watch Us. Anything you have to say, or you want to hear we can hear the rest of it if you would like. Or Elder Lawyer, it's up to you.
No, sir. I think we pretty much, it seems like he's moving to other organizations that really have no bearing on what we do and what we teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
now, what it seems like, again.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm sorry. What it seems like, again, because when you go into the realm of apologists, you have apologists who become, quote unquote, the go-to experts on various topics.
Okay.
Of apologists who are the go-to experts on creationism versus evolutionism, belief in God, or apologists who specialize in faith in God versus atheists, or apologists who are more so who study Islam and defend Christianity against Islam. So you have apologists who are experts in all of these different, or are considered the go-to experts in all these fields. It seems like what he did is he went into a lane that was not touched amongst those apologists, which is the Israelite lane.
Okay.
So that now he's the guy, when it comes to documentaries, he's the one that's going to get called as the go-to expert on Israelites. When it comes to newspaper articles or magazine articles, he's going to be that go-to guy. No different than another guy. They're doing a documentary on creationism versus evolution. You're going to have a guy that's the go-to guy for that particular field of study. So that's what it looks like he has done. He's opened a lane to where he has become the Christian expert when it comes to Israelites.
So he just carved out a little niche for himself. You know,
right.
on the backs of strangers, something that he totally don't understand. He became the expert of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, well, listen. Let him knock himself out. You know. Hopefully it works out for him. You know, we're doing the work of Christ. You know what I mean? Hopefully it pans out for him. You know. Because the last I seen him, before he pivoted to Israelites, before he found a lane for himself to misrepresent, 6 years ago, he had another lane.
Attack in Texas, investigators chase leads overseas, and a slain gunman returns home. According to local media in Kansas City, Missouri, Nadir Sufi will be buried today. He's one of the two men that targeted that event that offended many Muslims by featuring cartoon images of the Prophet Muhammad.
He was on Muslim extremists 6 years ago, Elder Lawyer. Hold up, let's go.
And the feds are scouring the online contacts of the other gunman, Elton Simpson. They're especially focused on...
See, look, the terrorists, some international terrorism going on.
Junaid Hussein, a British hacker linked to ISIS and believed to be operating...
Linked to ISIS?
Syria. CNN's Kian Law is in Phoenix, where Sufi and Simpson shared an apartment. Good morning.
They even knew where the terrorists shared an apartment.
Good morning, Carol. We're learning much more about Elton Simpson, and I want you to take a look at this video. The video itself is innocuous. It is from 2012. It is a fundraiser, but we actually...
He's saying he want McDonald's. Okay, he's saying he want a sandwich, but yet they're blocking him out and talking over him. He want a fish fillet with fries, but you'll never know.
See Elton Simpson. We get a sense of his personality. We've been hearing all week that he's so mild-mannered, that he wasn't violent, that he was calm. You actually see it now. You can hear it in his voice. And we're also hearing the fortitude of his faith in this video clip. Take a listen.
It recharges your iman as well. When you come together and you pray 5 times a day with the brothers, provides for you.
One thing he said, Elder Lawyer, is that we pray 5 times a day with the brothers.
A form of weaponry to go out into the real world and use that weaponry to shield you against the tricks of the shaitan.
Damn, like he lost his lines.
Now, friends say he converted to Islam while he was in high school to basically stay out of trouble. That's why his family supported him in his choices, that he continued to study
Check it out,
as he became an older man. We also interviewed a pastor.
We interviewed a pastor. Now, this was 6 years ago before he began to latch himself to a new train.
Yes, an evangelical pastor. They were friends at work. They debated theology.
Oh, yeah, this guy was friends with a terrorist.
And even though it doesn't make sense to many people, this pastor believes that this violence in Texas, that it may have felt like a logical step for Elton Simpson. Here's what he says.
I was surprised.
There he go, Vocab Malone, folks. Vocab Malone. 6 years ago, reporting on black extremists, black Muslim extremists in the United States, that listen, was one of his co-workers.
Surprised, but not shocked.
Elder Lawyer, he was surprised, but not shocked.
Put it past him because I understood the sincerity of his beliefs.
Now, if y'all don't believe this is the same guy, folks, if y'all don't believe it's the same guy, listen.
You could go to, you say you said that, right? You could go to GOCC.
That's him here. And that's him here on CNN.
He had expressed to me admiration, specifically for Osama bin Laden. He used the word hero.
Watching us watch the enemy. I wonder how he get that gig at CNN, Lawyer. This guy got some serious connects. And now he got the Gathering of Christ Church in his mouth. He wasn't he was a preacher in Phoenix who so happened to work with a Muslim extremist who was black, moving the extreme title off of Arabs onto black people. So now do you think it's a coincidence that now they're trying to label Israelites terrorists? They're using the same guy who was integral in that pivot. And I said in 2009, Elder Lawyer, that eventually they're going to say black people are the face of terrorists, knowing that what? The majority of the earth will realize that we're the children of Israel. So they put Muslim extremists or religious extremists laws on the books against Muslims knowing that Christians aren't going to push back with it, only to use those laws against Israelites once our people figure out who we are, who we were. I said they would do that. So, folks, every time this guy mention us, I'm gonna pull him up with that, with that bush. You understand? I'm gonna pull him up with that bush every time he mention us. Well, let's go to the calls, Elder Lawyer. Give me one moment. I'll pull in the calls, okay? 515-605-9327. And I'm excited about that, brothers and sisters, because we're going to start having some of those segments and put it up online. Watching the enemy watch us, okay? Elder Lawyer, they got one woman who found, not the woman that's overseas somewhere, not that Jordan girl, oh my goodness, but another girl, I think she's in the United States. I don't know if you've seen the video where they have you, they cut you out, your whole background, and have you with your eyes flashing red, like red fire. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It was kind of funny.
Oh, you did see it?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh my man! When I seen that, Lawyer, listen. I like to. It was at night. I pulled up Gocc, and I seen your eyes flash red, and there was some music under you, man. I fell out the bed, boom, and I'm sitting there, I'm in a ball, just crying. I'm like, Lord, what are we gonna do about your people? I'm like, Lord, you don't bother nobody. Listen, I would very well put it all on me. All right, do whatever you want to do. Leave that young man alone. Lord, have mercy, man. Lawyer, I was in a ballworm position, man, in tears when I seen that video on you. I'm like, well, okay, Lawyer must. They know it rolls right off me, but I don't. How did you take seeing yourself with the red bloodshot dragon eyes? Yeah, man. See if I can.
Like I said, it was quite amusing. Amusing.
It's quite interesting, ain't it?
Yeah. Seems like this person. I checked the channel out. Usually, people like this, they have like 2 videos on their channel or nothing at all. I checked the channel out. It seems like they have a obsession with any leaders that profess to be Israelites or teach that they're Israelites, and they just create these weird little clips where they disfigure the faces, or they, like in the case of me, put fireballs and do all kind of weird stuff to these various videos. But again, it's quite amusing. What can you say? What can you say?
They done put us in cartoon characters. They got memes.
Yeah.
Leaving the Gocc. Look.
Right.
Cartoon characters leaving the Gocc. Boy, I'm going to have a good time with this one. I'm going to have a good time with this one. Right. But I digress. Hey, they did worse to the prophets, the teachers, to Christ. Hey, we're going to do the work to the end and help our people through Jacob's trouble. Hold on, Elder Lawyer. Let me open up the call. All right. I'm going to see if I can connect the call while you're still there.
Yes, sir.
Lord, in the morning time. I'm like, leave that young man alone. He don't bother nobody. Lord, have mercy. He's just trying to serve our Lord and Savior. Let me get here. Hold on. And I have a few announcements I got to make in a moment, but let me call into the program.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Disaster leading to displacements. Breaking down what's exactly going on in the earth. And guess what? It seems like every event is leads to a new world order outcome. And that's what it seems like right now. And these people are being displaced. The waters are becoming poisoned based on everything I'm seeing here. And hey, We're in a war. Going down the line, Cora has a question.
Yes, so Elder. I have a question about the Patreon. I went to Patreon today to look back at some previous videos, and like the first one, the one from last week, it said this video is not available. And then I went down a couple more, and everyone said this video is not available. But what's going on with Patreon on there?
Okay, so some of
why those videos are showing up on page.
You said okay. Let me put you on hold, Cora, because there's a lot. Cora, make sure when I bring you in, you're in a room where there's no background noise, please. Let's see here. Let's see. That's deep. That's deep. Hold on. I have to make a call. I must make a call.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging.
Shalom, I'm live in the broadcast. Happy Purim, young man.
Yes, sir. Shalom, Elder.
Is there any reason why some of our videos on Patreon is saying does not exist?
Doesn't exist? I've never seen that before.
All right, I need you to go there and look at that as soon as possible because Medical Mercenaries isn't there and other videos aren't there, even though it might be in response to what some of the callers are saying. But I need you to look into why those videos doesn't exist as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
All right, shalom.
All right, shalom.
Shalom. We right on that because that's Medical Mercenaries was one of those bomb videos breaking down some of the predictive programming. And Lord, last week on Patreon, it was on fire. I'll tell you that. Much was revealed, and if they were going to take down some videos there, I would suspect that that would be one of them, right? But anyway, I hope we can salvage that video. And matter of fact, I saved it on my desktop in case something happens. Every video that I do, I save on my desktop. So, I got to be on stuff like that. But anyway, let's go to the next one. Sister Cora, we're gonna try to figure out what's going on, okay, to fix that. 678 area code.
Shalom, Elder. Can you hear me?
How you doing, Yarsi? Yarsi is your name?
Oh, Varsi.
Okay, it says, okay, Varsi. The floor is yours, Varsi.
Yeah, I just want to say shalom to you, Elder Ricard. Shalom to Elder Lawyer.
Shalom.
I want to all praise to the Most High. Thank you. All praise to what you brothers do. It's a blessing. It truly is. And I just want to say it's right on time because I learned about the whole train collisions the other day at work, and it was people making jokes saying how does people so stupid and how could they do this and they weren't paying attention and I'm in my mind I was like it just hit me like no, they're up to something because like how you stated earlier, they don't do anything, nothing's an accident, things just don't happen. So and it's just it's crazy because now you come with this lesson and now it's confirming things in the spirit for me like okay, so now is the time that the body we really have to come together because they and it's Purim, so they're definitely always up to their evil deeds. So I just wanted to just call in and say thank you. I finally worked through my nervousness to call in because I've been wanting to call in for a while. And one other thing, real quick, I got baptized with the Atlanta body with Elder Deacon Baruch, and I moved to North Carolina, so I'm kind of having problems finding a body down here. So is there any way you can take my number down and get me connected with them, with the elder?
Hold on 1 second. Okay, your name Vardy, right? Varsi.
Oh, yeah, Varsi.
Okay.
Varci.
All right, 1 second. What part of North Carolina are you in? What part?
I'm in Mooresville.
Okay. Your name is Varsi.
Yes.
All right. So I just text him. You should receive a call no later than Friday. All right. And yes.
All right.
Based on what you were talking about when it comes to no accidents, keep in mind that the Most High have us in front of a lot of these events. We've been in front of these events for many years. And the reality is you have to understand what Agenda 2021 was when they said that something got to happen by 2021, and look at something happened right before then that would lead to where we are now. And you have to look at the agenda for 2030. So you have
yes,
to,
sir.
you have,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have to examine all of these things to know that what their end game is altogether. To know that in reality, even if it's an accident, according to the news, and I'll take that in, I'll accept that if that's what it says, that accidents can be used also. And not only that, accidents can be engineered. All right. So I just
thank you.
The
Thank you so
overall
much.
thing is brothers and sisters to understand that we're in the last days. It's time to cleave to the Most High. The enemy have come behind the curtain, and the dark forces are at war with the children of God and those who believe in Christ and this Bible. And you know what? Hey, there's no depths that these evildoers will not stoop to for their outcome.
Yes, yes.
So the reality is, it's the Most High calling us back and saying, well, listen, come under his hedge, because they're at outright war with us socially and otherwise, whether it be the agendas they're pushing, or they're making sure we can. It doesn't matter the day that we go, that each day that we're living under or living in, they want to make sure, the evildoer want to make sure we won't have one day, without some level of chaos, without some level of hurt, right? So that's the whole deal. There is no peace from one day to the next, and as we come closer, they're going to make sure there isn't, right? So it's about throwing society off kilter to the point of confusion, like it speaks of in the book of Baruch. The Bible tells us to stay sound, have a sound mind, sober-minded, and stay in the spirit, because they're throwing everything at us to keep us off kilter. So, brother, I'm going to make sure I'll call you and get ready to hunker down and prepare in this spiritual war against evil. All right?
Yes, sir. All praises. And just last thing, brothers and sisters, that academy, get in. When I tell you, it is so life-changing. If that outfit that costs $200 or them shoes that cost $200, you can spend at $150 to change your life spiritually. I'm telling you, get in. I stand by it wholeheartedly. Thank you, elders. I appreciate it so much, and I yield.
Thank you, brother. We even went into the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah this weekend to actually pull out the spirit of scammer. Scammers' origin is in what you would call Sodom and Gomorrah. The first scammers. So when you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, people just more so focus on the perversions. Wife swapping in relationships, where a husband would give his wife at these parties and all that. Sodom and Gomorrah. Scammers who would have you come in and scam you out of everything you have, like that brother Polite. All of that is Sodom and Gomorrah behavior. Talking about, yeah, man, we got status correction. I can get your credit together. Folks, let me tell you, folks, scamming, the spirit of scamming came from Sodom and Gomorrah. We dropped that from the book of Jasher. It's allowing the straight immoral to begin to assail on our population, to allow the scammers and the evildoers and the sinners to thrive as a culture in our society, was the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that led to the Most High bombing it all together. The perversions when it came to a man on man, woman on woman, when it gets to that point, that's at the end before judgment. But it's the scamming and all of that in Sodom and Gomorrah that leads to what? A community's decay. We dropped that, man. That was a great lesson on Sodom and Gomorrah. And scamming came from Sodom and Gomorrah, folks. Let's go to the next call. 706. Get into the academy, folks. Get into that. Speaking of the academy, I want to mention right now, since we're at the end of the broadcast almost, that it does start March 12th, 2023, and we're now open for enrollments, okay? You don't want to miss this, because this theme is how the righteous can now battle against darkness. That will be the theme, okay? The creation of the universe lesson. We're going into it. We're going to refurbish, update it a little bit, and we're going to highlight the state of the world, the universe, before the physical and spiritual corruption. The promised seed, we're going to highlight the Messiah who was born of the promised seed to destroy the works of darkness, and how our people in the earth, folks, are the light to destroy the darkness. But first, our people must turn from sin to be used for God's purpose. We are the people of God. We are the chosen bloodline that is changing this earth right now. But now we're going to deal with what? Identifying the dark forces. And we're going to teach in the academy how to battle against it and win, right? The fall of Judah and Israel. The origin of Israel's kingship and our fall to idolatry, witchcraft, and the works of darkness. I can't wait for this lesson. The battle against witches and warlocks, a brand new lesson. How ancient witchcraft have been modernized and used as a weapon in current times. Biblical principles on how to battle spiritually against spiritual wickedness in high places. How do you know? How do you know when a dark force is aimed towards you and your family? How do you even know it? Well, you don't know what a modern witch or warlock looks like. And you probably have them hanging out in your house. We're going to be talking about that and more. And a lot of our people have taken on the evil ideology of people like Oprah Winfrey. Well, the Bible would describe her as a witch. The evil ideology of those women that were sitting on that table, the view with the V, which is the V, Satan's horns. See, back then we would identify these women as witches. Dr. Oz. See? I'm off to see the wizard. Back in the day, we would identify Dr. Oz as a wizard or sorcerer. We're going to talk about it. The battle against witches and warlocks, brand new lesson. How ancient witchcraft has been modernized and used as a weapon in our current times. And how do you identify witches and warlocks, potions, and or poisons? Oh, yeah. Battling spiritual wickedness in high places, in political positions. We're going to talk about that. And the divide between man and woman, part 2, roundtable discussion, discussing the various levels of social engineering and propaganda that has been used to separate and destroy the oldest institution established by God, family. Roundtable international discussion, part 2. You don't want to miss this, the divide between man and woman. This academy will outdo the rest, I guarantee, and all of them are on a level. Go to historytimes.org. I'll see you there March 12th. Thank you. Let's go to the next call. Farah. Farah.
Shalom, Elder.
How you doing, Farah? Shalom and happy Purim.
Thank you. Same to you. I'm here in Baltimore. We on our second water scare. About 3 months ago, we had an infection in the water, and just yesterday, supposed to have been a main break, a water main break, and now they're saying you under ball restriction. I don't understand how you have a water main break and then it's infected. But yeah, and then my family live out in Mississippi, so I try to let them know, don't drink the water or to do something, get some filters or something. And the next thing I'm looking at is the lights. They're going to be messing with the lights soon.
You mean the electric, the grid?
Yep. Yep.
Well, we have to keep our eye on that and make sure there's a backup supply of generators and get small generators for our home to work our devices in order to contact people. Even if your house is off the grid for a second, there's small generators one could buy to make sure your devices are working. All right. You want to make sure your communication is still intact. And you want to make sure that if you have internet and all these other things to communicate, you can still plug that to an alternative source. All right. And let me ask you, when they said something, when they put out the scare for the water, what did you do exactly to continue to make sure that there was running water in the home, making sure that you had clean water to cook? What exactly did you do in that emergency when they stated when the scare came?
Well, Elder, I've been listening to you for a very long time, so you already know I got my backups for my lights. I got my water filters, my Berkey water filters.
There you
and
go.
My husband is not in the faith, but God has blessed me because whatever I ask him, he'll try to do it. Whether he believes that it's the truth or not, he'll still try to do it. So whatever he tells me to do, I do.
Well, in the state of an emergency, once he see the benefit of you listening, I'm sure that have some type of effect. When an emergency happened like that, and you already have a backup to make sure his water's clean, that must have some impact there, right?
Some people, I don't know the mentality of some people. They love you, but they still don't have a certain respect for your knowledge.
Well, this ain't knowledge. We're talking about survival here. We're talking about you making sure he drink clean water in a state of an emergency. He had to at least see that as a benefit, right?
I try to make him understand that, Elder, but he's 77 years old, and I guess he feels like he don't have much time left, so it just is what it is.
Okay.
So I can only let him see my faith. I can't, make him get any more faith. I can only show him my faith. But I went to get the taxes done yesterday, Monday, and one time last year when we went to get the taxes done, a black car came missed us like like a second. We riding down the highway, and out of the blue, here comes this black car going 90 miles an hour and just barely missed us.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're okay.
From hell.
Well, but in a nutshell,
so I said,
I'm saying I have to go to the next call. Let me put you on the next call. But in a nutshell, I would like to think that he does appreciate what you do. But some people are just too proud to admit it. But I'm sure there's some level of appreciation for what you've done to help him. Let's see, 917 area code. We have Saria. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Saria, are you there?
Oh, Shalom. It's Shariah.
Shariah. Okay, someone spelled your name wrong. Okay, come on. The floor is yours.
Oh, well, I just first want to give honor and praise unto Abba Yah for of course, being who he is, and then what he's done with you all. I'm new to GOCC.
Oh, you mean
I met a
Ahia?
sister here.
Oh, do you mean Ahia, the God of Israel? Ahia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go. Come on. Praise the Most
Yes.
High.
I met a praise the Most High. I met a sister at the Dollar Tree last week, and we ended up just talking by accident on purpose. And I have been looking for somewhere locally to fellowship with other brothers and sisters in the truth. And she so happened to tell me about GOCC down in Petersburg. So I will be attending there this Shabbat. Yeah, I will invite. I wanted to just say thank you and Elder Lawyer, because upon coming into this truth 2020, I lost everything. Like, my family was like, you're crazy, you're in a cult, what's wrong with you not going to Sunday? Sir, what you mean don't celebrate these holidays? Like, it just was a very trying time of adjustment and transitioning into this walk. But I stuck to it, praise the Most High. And my sons have been listening and learning from me teaching them, but it's still that component. Their father is not in the truth at all. So it's really difficult. But upon coming across you guys through that sister, my sons have become very excited and more, I would say, solidified in their belief and their identity as Hebrew Israelite sons of Ahia. So I'm just thankful for one, y'all boldness to proclaim the truth at the level that y'all doing it, exposing the wiles of evil, and just how everything is working is doing major work in the body, down to the children. My sons are young. My two youngest sons are really walking strong in the truth, and they're only 10 and 12 years old.
Good.
And sticking to the dietary. Their father, cooked pork in the house the other day, and my son was like, I ain't eat, and I was just really thankful, just for everything that y'all putting out. We've been almost like, I guess you could say, gorging on the lessons, really taking it bit by bit, taking notes, going back to the old lessons and everything. So I just want to, again, praise Ahia for all that you guys are doing to make sure that we're not caught off guard or that nothing is, kept secret. Of course, the Most High is revealing through His Ruach, but
let me ask
you guys mightily.
Listen, let me ask you a few questions, okay? I know you just running through the overjoying, you're overjoyed with the, in the spirit, in receiving the knowledge in these last days. I can tell that, and you just, I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you this: how long have you been listening?
I just
a week or two.
When I met the sister.
Okay, great. And what city and state you live? Where are you?
Richmond, Virginia.
Man, that's where my father was born, Richmond, Virginia. Well, this is what I'm going to do, sister. I'm going to connect you with someone in the VA area.
Okay.
So that you can connect. Do you mind me giving your number to a deacon there to reach out?
No, I don't mind.
All right. Sister, you're in for something else. Welcome to the truth. Now, what did you believe before this, actually?
I just had got into Christianity several years back, about 2017. And then March 2020, I just heard this voice calling me out of the church. And I started having these visions and dreams and stuff like that. And January of 2021 is when I first started really like seeking it out like this.
Okay. I'm happy for you, sister. Sister, I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy. There's not too many people out there who, when they hear the voice in the Christian church, take heed. They become more comfortable or complacent. And as bold as you think we are in doing this, and it takes a level of boldness and courage to do so, it takes some boldness and courage to walk out of the norm into a total unknown through faith to see what you're seeing right now. So your baby got a lot of activity there, a lot of. Let me tell you, while I was speaking with you, I had a deacon. I gave a deacon your number. They're going to call you before tomorrow or tomorrow morning. Okay. And please listen to what they tell you to do. Connect with them and ask questions. I need you to ask questions on when it comes to my children. You know what I mean? And the medical apparatus and all that. What like give me some direction on what I need to do for my children according to God when it comes to that. If you write a lot of things, write your questions down and get them ready. I just texted brother while I was on the phone with you, and he'll answer those for you. Okay.
Praise the Most High.
There's things I can't say here. You're welcome. Bless you. Welcome to the body. Oh, there it is. Oh. Yeah, through this truth, the Most High has this. He have us, boy. We're giving the enemies left hook, uppercuts, and body shots. Okay. And praise the Most High. And they're coming to this truth. Hey, folks, I get so elated. It tell you, the angels rejoice when one comes to the knowledge of this truth. The angels rejoice. So everything we're doing in this work, even through all the good, bad, and attacks that happens, at the end of the day, the Most High always reveal to us and remind us continually. He reminds us of what this is all about with calls like that. He does. Praise the Most High. The angels rejoice when one comes back to the knowledge of this truth. 804 area code.
Hello?
Bazim has a comment and question. Bazim is your name?
Basim.
Basim. How are you, Bazim?
I'm great, Elder. Shalom, by the way. I just wanted my question. First of all, I'm a little excited, but my question is: can you guys? First of all, I'm originally from New Jersey, but I actually live in the city of Richmond as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Newark, New Jersey, but I live in the city of Richmond as well. I would like to link in with the body and get baptized. That was my question. Can you link me in with the body down here in Richmond and get me baptized?
Ain't that something? Back to back, ain't it? Richmond must be the Most High must have a light on Richmond right now. Hold on, let me give it. Let me put it. Here you go. Hold on. Back to back, ain't that something? My father's from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. And my comment was more or less of a testimony on how I found the truth. I just wanted to put this out there for those who are listening. Can I speak? Can I keep going?
My father was I think he was born in Newport. He was born in Newport News and raised in Richmond. But go on.
Okay. Oh, so my testimony really is how I found the truth. So I grew up in the city of Newark. I'm gonna be as brief as I possibly can. Okay. I grew up in the city of Newark. I was a little wild child. So I had an older guy who pulled me to the side and started teaching me the 5%ers knowledge when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
From there, because I had a little conscious mind going on with the conscious community. And by the age of 17, I was in the FOI, which is the Nation of Islam, the Fruit of Islam. I was in the Nation of Islam, One thing I can say about the brothers that study in the Nation of Islam, even though they believe that the black man's true religion is Islam, they mostly study out of the Bible. If you listen to Farrakhan's teachings, he always talks about Christ.
Yeah.
But from there, I went ahead and I took my Shahada and I started doing the Salats 5 times a day, and I became a full-fledged Muslim on the, the Sunni Muslim.
Okay.
So one day, I'm having a conversation with a conscious brother who doesn't believe in God at all. He's a whole atheist. So we're having this conversation about black people and our kingship and how we was once kings and queens. So he goes, yeah, we all know that, but how did black people fall? So I started to research our fall, and that's when I ran across the Gathering of Christ Church. And I knew it was true, and this was about 7 years ago. Honestly, it's a blessing that I actually get a chance to speak to you guys because I've called numerous of times and never got through. But yeah, so I actually found the truth, and I'll be telling people, like, you never know where the Most High will send you to make you do the homework, because when I was talking to an atheist who made me do more research by asking, how did we fall from our kingship? So that led me to go do more research on our history. And that's how I found you guys.
Incredible.
7 years ago.
Incredible. I like to think, Brother Basim, that the Most High have sent us as teachers in these days, not just to teach, but really to connect the dots, to fill in those dark spaces of history that our people really doesn't know exist. I believe that the Most High have given us that gift to not just teach, but to fill in the gaps. Right?
Right.
And, I thank the Most High when I hear things like this as a testimony to the word that the Most High have allowed us to put out there, because really, believe it or not, a lot what we teach is really confirming what people, brothers and sisters, thought all along, but had no proof of it. Right? We knew that there was a missing component that the government and school and religion was keeping away from us. And usually this is what resonates with our people, because majority of our people aren't surprised when they find that they were the children of Israel. A matter of fact, it becomes a point of relief. It becomes a point of relief, because now it's like, now it all makes sense, right? So this is nothing that we normally reject, because it's the only thing that makes sense. How can a people so great, even in the conscious community, be called kings and all these things, and fall to such depths with no answers to how we got here? You have all these intelligent, high intelligent orators and scholars and teachers that can break down what the white man have done, the history, and all that is good. The history of their, not just the Europeans, or how the other nations have all came against us and all this is good. Then they'll go into, we were the Moors, we were kings. They had the Church of Gods and Earth, 5%, kicking all this knowledge, but no one can state, okay, if we had all this knowledge, how is it that all nations are more powerful than our people presently? There had to be a point where our people began to lose, our power, and no one had this answer.
Nobody had the answers. You're right.
Yeah, they come with this simple answer like
the Most High did.
Yeah, exactly. But it was in the Bible the whole time. They come
the whole time.
They come with these.
Excuse me, Elder. Can I say something?
Yeah, go
on. So speaking of it being in the Bible the whole time, that's how I was able to recognize truth, because when I studied with the Nation of Islam, these brothers, they real serious about studying.
Yeah.
But they study the same thing as the 5%ers. They believe that they're God, so they study everything. So studying the Bible with these guys, and I'm reading prophecies and things like that, and they tell you to use your third eye, which is the mind. So when all these things started happening, and I started to see how the world was turning, I'm like, the Bible was the truth, because how can you explain what it says And the things that we see in front of us is like it's right in front of your face. How could you not miss it? I mean, how could you not see it?
Yeah. Well, the Bible states has a hold on. The Bible tells us about ever learning, but never being able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
Right.
So you can be ever learning and miss the truth right in your face. So just
we got all these philosophies and everything like that.
Exactly. So just acquiring knowledge isn't good enough. If the knowledge isn't beneficial wholesale to help our people as a whole. That an individual or a group can have knowledge, but how does that help us all as a people? What we're teaching according to this Bible helps everyone. It's a solution for the world, right? So, brother, I gave AC your number, and we hope to see you up in there because, hey, the Most High can put the spirit of a teacher up in you, and I'll be happy to help with that. All right?
No doubt, no doubt. It's a blessing to be a part of the church. Well, trying to get a part of the church. I'm not in it yet, but I'm in it to win it, and I'm here to, like the calendar said, I'm here to walk the walk.
Thank you, my brother.
That's what it says, right? Walk the walk.
Well, it doesn't say it that way, but
the new calendar.
Oh, you're talking about the calendar? Yeah. The calendar.
The new calendar.
The new calendar is the theme. Run the race.
Run the race. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Run the race. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, thank you, boss.
I'm in it to win it, and I'm here to run the race.
All right. Bless you, my brother. And you will have a call before tomorrow's out.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Shalom and bless Purim.
Shalom.
All right. We have Zuri with a question. Zuri with a question.
Hi. Shalom, Elder.
How are you? Shalom.
Shalom. I just want to say I really appreciate you and everything you've done for all of us. I do have a question.
Yes.
We're seeing everything in the news, and I've been keep being updated with it. And since Passover will be next month in Cleveland, would that affect our trip up there, or will it be safe to go?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked the question. I think you've come in late. When the broadcast began, I made an announcement that we made sure we contact the convention center so that they can do independent testing with the EPA reports and the independent report on whether or not the convention would be safe for thousands of our church members going into Cleveland. They came back
Correct.
They reported back 2 days later with a full detailed clean bill of health for us to go, because keep in mind, and they made sure they let us know that in Cleveland, the water don't run into the Cleveland water supply from the Ohio River, but the Erie Lake is the water supply for Cleveland. And they've tested, everything is fine there, and we have people in Cleveland making sure they do the independent testing who are a part of the body. But everything we have, all the tests we have so far and the information back is that the water source that's from the other side of Ohio haven't reached into Cleveland, and it's a different water supply altogether. So there's nothing to worry about.
Okay.
You know, that was the first thing we were on when we heard. Yeah, of course. There's no way we're going to allow
it's not a coincidence it's happening there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's not a coincidence. They know all of us are coming.
Sister, listen to how eerie this is. 70 AD, Nero burned 7 areas in Rome and blamed it on our people in Jerusalem, in Palestine. I need you to check that out.
Yeah.
Right? And then, 70 AD, it led to them doing what? Putting armies, blaming the black Christians for burning Rome. And the armies began to do what? Frequent Palestine to a degree that eventually the Roman Empire decreed a war that would destroy Jerusalem. And that led to us fleeing into Africa and eventually us being enslaved throughout the earth. This is how they took Palestine.
Yep.
And then check this out, sister. Now a new fire comes out of nowhere. From where? From where? Where's it at? East Palestine.
Oh.
East Palestine. And the people are now being displaced in that area. Now, who knows how the dominoes will fall, where eventually it will lead to the people coming into the cities. And then, that's right, then it will culminate into a real, the true war that's being directed against God's people and those who believe, especially the children of Israel. I think it's more than a coincidence that I think this is more so dog whistling. They're signaling Palestine, destruction. And when I think about Palestine and destruction, I think about the Roman Empire signaling that they're going to come after Jerusalem. Palestine, wherever our people are, that's Jerusalem. So when they talk about Palestine or East Palestine, I believe that's signaling for what's being planned against the children of Israel. Okay, and it goes back to 70 AD. It's time for us to make sure we have our houses in order, doing what the Most High said do, because usually it doesn't matter what happens. Just like a cold started in Wuhan, China, and ended up where? It ended up in North Philadelphia or Harlem, or where the people are disproportionately affected. So I never look at a disaster someplace else and think it's not going to affect us. It always affects us. So if anything, it's a sign for us to get ourselves together, because this will lead to a famine. This will lead to a famine. That water, the water systems, they're saying that this may contaminate the water systems, as well as what? As well as the farmlands, the water supplies. It may go into the Mississippi and actually harm, and actually, believe it or not, harm the farm areas down south. Okay.
And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and those materials, once burned, turns into hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid cleaves to water and now makes the water contaminated with an acid. So the whole deal is we have to pray. This is the prophecy of wormwood again, where the waters will be contaminated. But guess what? Like I said, no way I was going to allow the church to go into Cleveland without clean water. We was ready to just sister, listen, we were already pivoted.
Yeah, me and this would be
sister, listen.
This would be me and my husband's first trip there.
Yeah, you don't
to
have
do the Passover.
Well, you don't have to worry about it. We were already pivoting if need be. We was going to have the Passover, but if that water wasn't clean, if we didn't know whether or not it was a different water supply altogether, Lake area and all that, guess what? We were already pivoting someplace else. So, nah, you'll be fine.
One step ahead of them, always.
And we got to make sure the saints are safe, even if we have to be outside with it. The church is where we are. All right. All right. Bless you. All right. Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Sierra has a comment. I'll see you there, sunshine.
Hi, Shalom, Elder.
How you doing, Sierra?
Fine, and you?
Shalom.
Thanks for asking. I just had a comment. I'm here. I live in Detroit, Michigan, and a couple days ago, I was driving home. It was almost 7:00 in the evening, and I seen a trace of it looked like these stars, and I tried to record it, and then it just vanished into thin air. And then the next day on the news, they told us not to be worried. It's not a UFO. And then right after that, they put out another story saying they shot down something that could have been a UFO over Port Huron. And I'm just like, what is your take on that? And I'm just like, I know that things are hidden in plain sight, but I actually seen it, in the sky and vanish into thin air, and they tried to imply that it was satellites. I've never seen satellites maneuver like that in my life. So I just was wondering, have you heard of that? First it was the balloons, and then now this is just so close to home to me. So I just wanted to know, what was your take on that, or did you have any knowledge of that?
Oh yeah, I have much knowledge of it. I've seen them form in formation when we went to baptize in England. I've seen this throughout my whole time learning in this truth and studying the Word. You have two separate types of ships. You have the angelic forces who come in and out of our realm, who are from the good side of things, and then you will also have Satan's ships.
Mm-hmm.
Satan's ships that operate on this realm. The Bible says that it is wickedness from the land of Shinar, the technology from the Tower of Babel, traveling ships within the realm of earth. So a lot of what we see, some of them we may think are the angelic forces, but it's really their technology.
Right.
You understand? And you're not going to shoot down the Most High's ships, okay? So if anything that was shot down, it was one of theirs, because Roswell and all that was them Satanists testing their new technology. All right. Years ago in Israel, they showed a UFO at the dome. Now the dome is another place where Satan's seat is. Okay. Where Satan's seat is. All right. Let me show you this.
There's a new video this morning.
It is. And usually when Satan and his cohorts over in the Middle East are doing their thing, usually they put the reports out there knowing that the majority of people will look at it and just totally dismiss it or ignore it altogether. Right? This is what happened at Satan's house in Jerusalem. Now, this happened 12 years ago, and I reported this 12 years ago.
There's a new video this morning that some say may be proof we're not alone in the universe. A UFO in the form of a bright light is seen descending over the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The video is said to be taken over the weekend. Then suddenly the light shoots up into the sky. There you see it. Another video from a different angle.
See, that's where Satan at right
there. The same thing. Those clips have gone viral now.
Those clips is going viral. And they thought they was going to leave that out there like nothing happened. Well, the Dome of the Rock and where they are is where Muslims, Satanists, Christians, Jews, they all are at that wall in that same area. And that was their daddy going up and down off the dome there. So don't think everything you see is from the Most High. All right?
This morning that some say may be proof we're not alone in the universe. A UFO in the form of a bright light is seen descending over the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The video is said to be taken over the weekend. Then suddenly the light shoots up into the sky. There you see it. Another video from a
So don't be enamored so don't be enamored with everything they see. They got their little tricks too. All right. So but believe it or not, believe it or not, I've noticed when I knew that they were the angels, when they came into formation after we were baptizing in England, it was no doubt what they were. Mm-hmm. We all got out of the car and seen them. It was if they were celebrating us baptizing. That's fine. So we have the good forces working with us. Have you ever been in the academy where I went into the UFOs in the War of the Gods?
Yeah, I've been in several. I probably can't even count. I've probably been in like 7 or 8. I just missed this last one, but I'm going to be in the next one.
I'm going to tell you. Well, sister, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to break down the UFOs in the next academy. I'm going to take 1 week out of it and break down the UFOs so you can notice the difference. The ones that Satan have made in this earth and the ones that were with us from the beginning and led us out of Egypt. I'm going to put that in the academy.
And I do notice that you are correct. They said the one they shot down. But the other ones that went in formation and light that only came out during night, it's like they came, they were going up and they just disappeared into portals. Like they,
those.
there's no trace of them or nothing.
Well, sister,
there's no trace of them or nothing.
The ones you've seen in formation and went in portals, those are usually the angels of God. But I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to show you the difference in the next academy.
I'm shocked you don't remember me, Elder. I've been called in multiple times. I've been in multiple academies. I used to call in about the shirts for my husband because I love the GOCC apparel. I'm shocked you don't remember. I just kind of fall back because I like people to get an opportunity to have a chance to speak on the broadcast because I've been in Patreon. I've been in several, academies.
Thank you, Sierra. Thank you. Thank you.
And I do like to get my donation. So I'm like, I wonder, do you even remember me?
Well, now that you have spoken, I do. I apologize. I didn't recognize you at first, but yes, I remember you, Sierra.
Okay.
All right. All right. So.
Yes, and happy for Rome. I also want to say that as well. And so, Wada, and I thank you for informing and enlightening me on everything. And I will be in that next academy. I will be there.
Thank you.
And a part of Patreon.
Thank you. Well, thank you, sister. And I found out what the issue was with Patreon. We're fixing that so you'll get all those videos that were there. All right. So don't worry about it. I got right on it. I had my phone working. I was hitting it. No, y'all can't take away those videos now. I thought the devil got in, but that's something we can fix. Patreon will be fixed and you have access to those videos. And I'm glad y'all called in and told me about that, Cora. I really appreciate it. Sandra 706 area code.
Hi, Elder.
How are you?
Good. Elder, I'm calling again about the baptism. I'm sorry I keep bothering you. But this is my third time calling. I really want to get baptized.
This don't make no sense. What city and state again?
I am in Rennes, Georgia. The first time I called, you said Elder Lawyer had the South, and you said he was going to call me. And then the second time I called, which was 2 weeks ago, you text my number to Elder Lawyer.
Okay, let me.
And I just keep calling because you said keep knocking, and the door will be open. So,
well, sister, listen, I respect your persistence. Hold on. Let me do it right now, and this is going to be permanent. Lawyer, please call Sister Sandra, Georgia, tomorrow. All right.
And also, Elder, can you keep my number and call me if you all ever get a church in Augusta or somewhere near Rennes?
Yes, I will. So you will have a phone call tomorrow. And to do one better, let me see Bishop Baruch here. Let's see, to do one better, because he just sent me a nice message earlier the other day. I really appreciate it. Okay, I hit it up twice. Sister, you will get a call. You don't have
Thank you.
All right, you will get a call. Thank you, sister. Bless you.
Thank you, Elder, and thank you for all.
I'm sorry you was cut off. I'm sorry.
I said thank you for what you all do for us, teaching us the word. I really thank God for what you all do.
Well, thank you. We thank the Most High for you. The best thanks that the best thanks that anyone can do is finish. But go on.
I do the academy, and I will be getting in the next academy as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll do everything we can to help you and guide you through this satanic maze called Babylon. All right. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
All right. Bless you. 926 area code. We only have one other call after this, and then, we'll digress. 925 area code.
Yes, Elder. This is Nasai from California. I have a question. Can you recommend any books, historical books, for for Mexicans or the tribe of Issachar?
One book that's real good. I don't know if you've ever purchased this, but have you ever purchased the American Holocaust?
Yeah, I got that book. Yeah.
You got that, and do you have Ronald Sanders' Lost Tribes and the Promised Lands?
Yeah, I was able to get that one. Yeah, I got that.
You got that too. All right. What else? Do you got Hawaiian Antiquities?
No, I don't.
Hawaiian Antiquities. That's a good one. Let's see. 1 second. There's something else. One moment. That's 1 second. There's one in particular that I think you'll enjoy. Hold on. Let's see. I apologize, brother. It's behind my sign right here. But there's another book that breaks down the 12 tribes being found in 1853 by the pastors who came over from Europe, who realized the indigenous people here were actually Israelites, including the Mexicans. There's another thing that, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put those books aside me, and I'm going to make sure we're going to do a concentrated lesson on the 10 tribes, that the indigenous people that were here. And I'm going to give you those books and resources. So I'll make sure I'll have it because they're behind me. I don't feel like looking through these books right now. I'm about to go to sleep. Okay. So if you can, since you reminded me, I'll guarantee you, just like I took these books and put it in front of me, I'll get a few of those books and put it in front of me and give you some reading that can connect the Issacharites or the Mexicans to the indigenous tribes, or to the lost tribes of Israel. I'll give you more on that, and I'll put them here so I don't forget them, and give you those as sources. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I'm welcome, my brother. So I take it you're Issachar.
Yes, Elder.
All right, my brother. So hey, I'll make sure I do my due diligence to give you some more resources. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bless you. All right, Sunshine. 2 minutes. I gotta eat.
Hi. Hello.
Let it roll. Come on, young lady.
Okay, shalom. Hi, elders. Hi, shalom.
First and foremost, happy Purim. Happy Purim.
Hello. Happy Purim.
All right.
Hi. Happy Purim. Oh, okay. Elders, wow. Coincidence indeed. From one woe to the next, we see convenient, neatly packed scenarios that result in coincidence or coercion that result in us accepting the destruction that's aimed at us as normal. And if it isn't like a train neatly packed with specific chemicals to conveniently crash and burn and explode in targeted areas, even to make the greatest impact on food and natural resources and human health and the air we breathe, then it is a worldwide driven medical catastrophe that was recently pushed as the cause that would so-called help us, but really pressure us into this safety from financial distresses from the job being lost, or prevent health distresses from the uncommon cold. If all
decided to take this popular prescribed solution, so no questions asked. But the problems of a chem-packed train riding near like a great population of our people and all people, or with a medical device to prevent the big cough, are presented with solutions that include cleanups of chemical taints and would progressively push the backs of citizens against the walls or out of their own houses or into concentration camps or into the arms of foreign troops, or create an environment of disclaimer where the 2020 thing pushed onto or into people is now, in hindsight, suggested for a friendly removal off of the shelves or protocols and into lying investigations and pre-planned investigations. But the clever solutions or cleanups are, it's too late, because the clandestine wars, like we were talking about, already begun and done the deeds of the dark agenda to the people. So the people are dispossessed, sick, or dying suddenly in all places. And the word says the whole world will experience these things. But knowing this is happening with prophesied wars and prophesied targets and prophesied famines and all that Christ spoke in Matthew 24, we are nearer to the kingdom and the promise than we ever believed. And meanwhile, it's the whole world watching Israel, as it is written that at the same time we rise, and no stranger would ever be able to take our glory, our position according to Christ, or make merchandise of us ever again.
Come yourself. You know what? I think Sunshine did record time this evening. You're getting good, Sunshine. Hey, well done. With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. Brothers and sisters, happy Purim. Enjoy this time. Even though we're under Jacob's trouble, the enemy is waging war, chemical war, social war, bio war. Folks, at the end, those who truly believe and walk this truth will win. Stand in truth. Stand in God's law. Believe in Christ. Love one another while there's time. Doesn't matter what the enemy tries. He can throw anything he wants at the wall. He can cause all these issues where planes are going off, bio wars, chemtrails in the sky. But folks, it doesn't matter. At the end, we win. Who are we? We're the children of Israel. Happy Purim. And we're back. With that, stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. And I hope you all will, that's right, enroll in our next Hebrew and Bible Academy. Go to historytimes.org. Shalom. The Most High God is calling back Israel. Thank you, Elder Lawyer, and happy Purim.
Yes, sir. Shalom and happy Purim.
Shalom. Thanks for the help. Thank you, elders, bishops, deacons, all the family within the work. Let's get it. Shalom. Good night. Ahai's calling back Israel. Whoa.
Colombia, Ruben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, yeah, from Puerto Rico, Nepali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. From Panama, yeah, from North America. American Indians, Simeon.
Good night. Happy Purim.
Our highest gathering is